What's up, my beautiful people? Aaron Thomas with excellence above talent. It is 2025. I've been slacking. That's what it is. Pure laziness. Not getting up, putting in the work for this podcast. I have a lot of things that I want to say. I have a lot of conversations I want to have with people. And I know that it's not going to get out there by itself. I have to make a better effort, a more conscious effort to not stay motivated, because motivated is crap. You know, you can get motivated one day and not be motivated the next day. But stay consistent and disciplined in putting out episodes. So I am putting myself out there to put out 2 podcasts a month. Could be more, but as of right now, 2 podcasts a month is what I am striving for, trying to be consistent with. It's crazy because I've been teaching for about a year and a half, and I started coaching this year. So August, started coaching football, and there is an issue. We have problems with this generation of young boys to where it is scary. It's scary because they have no desire to be great. They have no desire to want to better themselves. And I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a lot of them are okay with waking up and not being accountable, blaming everybody for everything. It's just, I have been put through a whirlwind where it's been draining. And when I say draining, anything I do, I try to put every effort I can into it to make it better. I am a big believer in never leave a place worse off. Always leave it better. And so when you have that mindset and you go into something, you put a lot of energy and effort into it. And so not really thinking, no one really told me that teaching was going to be such a tasking job. You know, you get it. You know that, you're going to have to teach kids and things of that nature. But the process of these kids not learning a lot at home and then getting sent to school and doing crazy things, and you have to sit down and have a conversation with them about why not doing that is important, or shaking someone's hands or looking in someone's eyes, not lying, why those things are important. I didn't expect that. So there's a quote that I'm going to have to figure out who said it, but it basically says, weak men create hard times create hard men create soft times create weak men. Or hard times create strong men. There it is, the word strong. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create weak times. Weak times create soft men. And we are in an era of softness. Nothing can be said or done without someone getting butthurt or upset or crying about something. There is no accountability whatsoever. And to me, the softest men I know are the ones who don't hold themselves accountable for nothing. It is always somebody else's fault. They don't take the blame or the accountability for anything. You're having a bad life as a man. It's because your mom and dad got divorced when you were 5 years old, and that still hurts you to this day. Or a girl cheated on you when you were 20 years old, and now all girls are the same, and you hurt women because of that one woman who hurt you, versus being accountable and just saying, like, you a hoe, or you don't want to deal with the traumatic events of being hurt again, so you would rather hurt other people than be hurt again. The sheer volume of young men and men not taking accountability is crazy. And then you can also see it in the political stance. We have people in office. We have people who are the ones creating and making laws for ourselves, and they don't hold themselves accountable for anything that they do. When a story comes out, or when people say, hey, this happened, it is always somebody else's fault. You were there. We might have heard your voice. You said it, but that's not what it was. It's crazy how a lot of people will close their eyes to a grown man not being held accountable and say he's a great leader. Like, where are we in a world where we can look at a man who isn't accountable and say, I'd follow him to the battlefield. I would follow him because he is a great leader. It's just it's softness. No, everyone's afraid to call it how it is. Everyone's afraid to disrupt the status quo. And quite frankly, for the past couple of months, I've kind of disappeared off of Facebook, Instagram. I've taken it off my phone. Really stopped hanging out with people. Just kind of focusing on myself, making sure that I am a solution. I am a light. I am salt. That I make sure that I am good and make sure that I'm taken care of by creating a space in my house, my workplace, that is filled with just love and kindness and grace. All the things that God has given me freely, I want to give to myself, to my wife, and then to others freely. The grace, the kindness, the mercy. And it's been hard. It's been hard. It's been frustrating because in teaching, you see the hurt and pain and trauma that these young kids go through each and every day. These kids are doing things that are going through things that grown adults have a hard time dealing with. And in the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, or 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're trying to figure it out. all the while trying to be liked by the people at your school, all the while trying to be the, good in sports and athletics and academics. It's a lot. But I took a step back because, one, I wanted to make sure I wasn't depleting myself from doing all these things while not giving the best I can for these kids or to these kids. But then I also realized that that is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for burnout. That's a recipe for unnecessary stress that I'm trying to put in my life because I can't fix or help everyone. And I think it just kind of took its toll. And so I took a step back from a lot of things that I know I need to go back to, like podcasting, like working out. Worked out, but it wasn't as consistent as it needed to be. Going to church. I really took this time to form and create a relationship with God. You need church. You need to have, fellowship with other people so that you know that you're not alone in this process, that you and others are going through it, and by coming together with a similar goal, by coming together believing in God and knowing that He's all-knowing, He's amazing, then you can piggyback off each other and help each other grow. So I know I need to get back to the things in my life that were helping in this field or in this story in my life. I know it's needed. So I been praying and reading and really trying to get into God's word more. And so I feel more connected with God in these last couple of months. But I feel disconnected from my community. Weird thing, I don't know if anybody else has gone through it, but I need those two to merge because I think that's where you live your best life, where you're creating a space for God to lead and guide you in your life, all the while creating a space where, gym and church and community is also a part of your life, and not in a way to where it's draining you, but it's just in your life because in order for others to see the work that God is doing in you, you have to be seen. You have to be seen. You have to, show the love and the kindness and the grace that He's given you. So I've just been like in this weird space in life. But while in this weird space, I've really been trying to hone in on what this issue is, because this podcast was created because men were dying and causing violence at an alarming rate that I did not know until I started doing the research. we talk about the suicide rate, we talk about just violence in general, violence against ourselves, violence against women. 90% of the prison system is filled with men. The domestic violence, the sexual assault. There's a lot of negative things that men are creating that's creating a space where trauma and destruction follow. But that's not all men and what men do. But that is something that is happening, something that was seen, something that has motivated me to like try to figure out. That's why I'm not afraid to have these questions or, conversations about these issues. And so the last couple of months, I've really tried to pour into these young men, these kids. And I have come to a conclusion that just like adults, you can only pour into someone that wants to be poured into. Which is a crazy thing to say, but some of these kids don't want to be poured into. Some of these kids are just like the adults, where they're like, essentially, leave me alone. I got it. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. And you have to sit on the sidelines and watch them create all these fires that don't need to be created, and then blame everybody else for why they're in the situation that they're in, versus just listening to someone that wants to help them and wants to see them do better. You cannot save everyone. That's including teenagers. And it's something that sucks because you see some kids, they have the potential to be such amazing young teenagers. Not saying that they're not going to be amazing as adults, but they're making their lives so much more harder by not listening, by creating chaos and pain in their lives. They're making it so much more harder, and it sucks to just, watch them go down that path. But I know I put so much effort the first couple of months trying to stop them from going down that path, and it's draining. It's crazy because when I leave here 6:20, 6:15, get to school. Right now we're in basketball, and so basketball practice, off season, school. When I come home, when I make it home, complete and totally exhausted from asking kids to do what is right, asking kids to stop lying, asking kids to be accountable, because they'll hit somebody right in front of you and then say they didn't do anything, which blows my mind. But the kids in my class know that the only issues I have with them is if you're not accountable for your actions. If you cuss and I ask, did you cuss, and you say yes, then we can have that conversation. I'm not mad. But if you cuss, I hear you cuss, and you say you didn't cuss, that's when the issues really start to happen. I'll stop the entire class and we'll sit down. I'll sit down and I'll have that conversation with them, because I think it's that important for them to know it's not okay to do something and then not be man or woman enough to accept the consequences of what you have done. And I think that is the biggest thing that drains me the most. The fact that these kids come to school, and I guess that it's not being taught at the house to, if you're going to be courageous into doing dumb things, be courageous when it comes to getting dumb prizes, when it comes to getting bad consequences. Like, stay courageous. Like, have that courage all the way out, through and through. But don't be courageous to inflict pain and cause chaos. And then when people now look at you and say, what's the issue? You say it wasn't me. But then I look and I see it's not only these kids, it's society as a whole. It's easier to say it wasn't me than to just deal with the consequences of your actions. We are in a world where, and this might get me canceled or in trouble, but we are in a world where strong, independent women are creating weak boys. We are in a world where they are pushing feminism, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something wrong with it when your needs supersedes everyone else's needs, and you only care about this particular movement when they are stepping on the feelings and emotions of these young boys and men. And it's crazy because that's the whole reason why the movement started. It started because men and young boys were stepping on women's feelings and needs. And there was a fight, and they're fighting back. And that's good. I'm a black man. I'm not fighting for what you believe in, fighting for what is right, fighting for what is just. I would never tell you or anyone not to do it. But there has to be a correlation. I'm fighting because, not just I'm fighting because I want power and I want to get back at these men and I want them to know how it feels, because that's not going to get us anywhere. It's just going to repeat this cycle over and over again that at some point has to stop. Right? Like, young boys need to be more respectful to women. No one wants to talk about it. But until we get the issue with porn handled, we're always going to have these issues where boys look at women as objects and not women. Because if that's all you're feeding me, if that's all I'm seeing in ads, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, big booty chicks, titties hanging out, all the sex appeal, I can go to my computer or my phone and pull up any video that I want by my creative imagination, whatever I want to see that day. Pull it up, watch the video, beat your meat, because you're not watching the video just to watch it. There's some endorphins that you have to release. So you release it, then you go about your day. But I think until that issue is fixed, there's going to be a repeating cycle of men and women fighting for power that at the end of the day, we don't really have. And instead of trying to outwork or make the other look bad or not needed, working together to build up the family, to build up the community, the nation. That's where it should be at, but we're simply not there because everyone is fighting for this perceived power. And it's perceived. Because if I don't want to give you power, I'm not giving you power. Regardless of who you are or the title you have. Hell, when President Obama was president, pretty powerful man, people walking around saying, not my president. President Trump, people walking around saying, not my president. So you can have the highest title. You can have the highest title in America. Doesn't give you the power. It doesn't. And so we're fighting for this power that is perceived. I don't have to give you power. You don't have to give me power. We don't have to give each other power. Instead of working to collaborate and create a space where both men and women are heard, both men and women are understood, and they're creating something to where no one gets stepped on, feelings, emotions, anything. So, going back to strong, independent women create weak boys. I'm just going to say it. Women don't have to be held accountable for their actions. If a man does something dumb, so there was a couple of years back, Boston Celtics coach had a consensual relationship with a woman in their organization. And everybody was like off with his head, what a horrible person. But consensual means she also knew that that man was engaged. She also knew that if anything happened, that there could be, issues and trouble. But no one wanted to say how she got in trouble. They suspended him for a year and then fired him later. But the woman, you don't know what happened to her. You don't know if she got fired or, she was protected. And some people can say, oh, it's the power dynamic. He was a head coach of this team. And he could have used his power to seduce her. You can say that. We will never know because there was no accountability on her part. It was just him. I've also had to deal with something similar to where someone's saying I did something and people had to do an investigation and it came out to be like, oh, okay, like you shouldn't have been in that situation, but you were both at fault. But I was the only one that got suspended, for a week or whatever. I was the only one that got in trouble, and the person who created half of it, I'm not going to say all of it, because I created half of it too, she got away. She got to live her life. Nothing happened to her. She was the victim in a situation. And it's a thing where most women, I won't even say most, I'll say some women aren't held accountable for their actions. And they're creating families with men who aren't going to be there, and they know they're not going to be there. And then they're teaching their young boys the art of victimhood, when as a man, if you play the victim, you lose. You can't be a victim in this world as a man. This world will chew you up and spit you out. It does not care about you. It does not care about your feelings as a man. You have to, unfortunately, just push through. And these are conversations that need to be had, because that's not, we're human as men. We just can't push through. We have to go and talk about these things and try to figure out, what's going on, versus just trying to push through. So it is something that I have seen, because when I see these young boys, it is their mother who is in their lives. And some of the young boys with mothers in their lives are some of the weakest young boys. You can't tell them anything, or they get hurt. When they get in trouble, they get hurt. It's like you have to walk on eggshells, because you don't know what's going to set them off. And y'all know me. I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm crushing them mother truckers. Your feelings, yes, I care about your feelings, but what I'm not going to do is try not to hurt your feelings, because someone in your life have taught you that people shouldn't hurt your feelings if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Some of the weakest young men in sports, football and basketball right now, haven't done track. Some of the weakest young men are the men that don't have a father figure in their household. And I'm not saying you got to have a father figure for a young man not to be weak. Some of them do also have father figures, but they're also still weak young boys. And when I say weak, I say not accountable. Don't put no effort into anything. Try to push past teachers. Try to ignore teachers. I have gotten in so many arguments with kids because a woman teacher is saying stop, and they're trying to walk by her. So then now I gotta jump in front and say, brother, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Turn around and go this way. And they'll turn around and they'll go because they know. But it's a weak mentality to teach your young boys these attributes. That's not going to do anything but make people not want to be around them when they get older. No one wants to be around someone who's always crying about something, who is always a victim of something as a man. No one wants to be around that. Let's have conversations and figure out ways we can be better, pick each other up. But coming to me trying to be a victim, I can't. Coming to me not being accountable for your actions, I can't. And we have created this space where we're allowing these young boys to do these things. And it's only going to get worse when they get older. And it's only just going to create a space where hard times are around the corner. Do I want hard times to be around the corner? No, because no one wants to have to learn the hard way in order to get strong as a man. But sometimes And in my life, I have had to learn the hard way to make myself a stronger person, a stronger man. So, if anyone hasn't told you today that they love you, let me be the first to say I love you. You're awesome. You're amazing. You deserve the best that this world has to offer. Do not quit. Do not give up. The world does not get easier, but you will get stronger. Y'all have a blessed week. Let's go do the best. Bye-bye.